Okay, what I'm going to do is, like I said, past Dave, and I was thinking, oh man, what am I going to speak about? Because, I'm normally used to speaking to the young guys, and, how am I going to relate to some of the older ones here as well? But do you know what? Every time I do speak in youth or whatever, on camp and stuff, every time I do speak, and I sometimes got to question myself then as well, because every time God gives you a word, you speak it out, and you just think, man, am I really doing that myself? Because it's so easy to sort of teach them, and you got to look at it sometimes and think, am I actually living that way? Am I actually doing that myself? So it's great to speak the word and be challenged myself, and that's why I love it. But what I'm going to do is, obviously, when we went on camp, we talked about warriors, okay? And, we brought these young guys, and, the theme is warriors, and we want to try and sort of like make sure everyone walks out as warriors. And the idea with the warriors is, it was the battles, okay? These young guys face battles every day, and I was thinking, thinking of their battles to our battles as, when we get older, like, the young kids got battles of, like, the media and what they look like, and, like the anxieties and self-harming and stuff, which we spoke about. But do you know what? As people, when we get older, we got our own battles. It might not be the same battles, but we got our own battles. And what we was trying to teach them is, how we deal with them battles, or how we fight them battles, and how we can get around it. Like when we're older, the battles that we face now is sort of like, you're thinking about money, or you're thinking of your job and stuff, and obviously I work self-employed and stuff, and that was a big battle for me to sort of like go on my own and think, man, where's the next bit of money coming in to pay my mortgage and stuff. And, it was on camp. I got, on camp, something, God gave me a word, and I was like, man, I'm on it. And do you know what? On myself, I probably never worried about, where the next bit of money's coming from in work. But do you know what? When you're employed as well, you've got the same worry, because you're going to be facing people in work who, may not have the same sort of heart as you, or the same sort of thinking of you, and you've got to deal with, like, that sort of, like, a bit of bullying sometimes can happen because you're a Christian, or what you're doing and stuff. So the battles are no different. It's just, obviously, like I said, when you're older, we got to hide it a bit more, because you've got to sort of hide from your kids, or you got to hide it from, like I hide stuff from Michelle because I don't want to put the burden on her, but we've learned to sort of speak about it, because that's what you got to do, because it's no good me hiding the same battles, and, some of you, if you've got kids and stuff, man, that's a battle itself, and, that is a battle. But you know what, and, Sienna's great, really, no. but no, do you know what, like I said, some of you know Lauren's in thing and stuff, and Lauren's in a Bible college, and do you know what, man, every time I see her now, and we get like a bit deep and stuff, man, she challenges me so much. And do you know what? I know she's living it, and she's getting taught every day and stuff. But if I can just pinch a little bit of her faith and her believing in God a little bit, man, I'm going to go so far, because, the way she comes across now, it can be like a bit overpowering. You're like, man, you've got to go and face real life. You've got to go and step out. You've got to go to work and stuff. And she's like, people still rely on Jesus. That's still your faith. I'm like, yeah, but, back to the norm and stuff like that. It's hard when normal pressures get on top, and we can lose that little bit of Jesus and just think about, the stress of work and stuff. But you know what? She is right, because we've always got to rely on Jesus, or believe in what Jesus tells us, to get through. Because if we let them battles get on top of us and stuff, and get inside us, we're not gonna do anything. It's only gonna drag you down, and it's never gonna help you. But speaking it better, like looking into the Bible, finding the scriptures is going to encourage you and build you up. That's what's going to take you into the next day thinking, man, I can do this. Being bold in that and stepping out and stuff. But, like me, my challenge is, am I really being bold enough in my faith sometimes? I'm going to different jobs every day. I want to be that person to be really bold and talk to people and explain what I'm doing and stuff. And, I've been on jobs where I've told people, and the one time, Pastor, Dave Morgan came in, he was preaching for us up in Swansea, and up in a camp about 4 or 5 years ago. And I rang Haley, and I was like, Haley, I want to bless him. I want to bless him. And this guy who I was working for, just before I was going on last day, he said, there's £150 there for camp. And I was like, oh man, and that's just me being a bit open with my faith, telling what people I'm doing and stuff, and do you know what? If people listen, and people know your heart's right, and people know what you're doing is right, that's going to encourage them to think, do you know what? I got something for you there, and like it's little seeds, like Jesus said, that you planting them little seeds, telling people about Jesus, praying for someone, showing people that you're willing all the time to sort of do something for someone else. Don't get me wrong, you always got to put, obviously make sure your family's right and your situation's right first. But man, when that's right, it's an open door. You just go and, spread the word, be bold in your faith and stuff. You know, and that's what we talked about on camp. We were trying to get these young guys to understand battles that they're going to face and how they can overcome the battles. You know what? You know, you can overcome the battles, and like I said, you know, we were talking to them about, you know, verses and stuff, and you know, some of these guys, what they say and how they get over certain battles, I'm like, man, it blows me away. But it's not just the guys from churches, outside kids, they're telling you battles, and you're like, man, I don't even know where that come from sometimes, because you've got some of the guys who was the hard, tough ones, and you would think they're the tough ones, but when they open their mouth and they speak, you got to listen, because there's so much wisdom in them already. It's unbelievable. So, but yeah, and like I said, we were talking about, you know, I was speaking to young guys, and we was talking about, like I said, with the battles, and I'm trying to talk to these young guys come from, I think, a different community, and they were a bit like, they were the bad boys, I would say, of the community and stuff. And we was talking about what happened on camp, and they've never been on camp, and I was like, man, how am I going to come across this? And Pastor spoke a little bit last week about the armour of God, and we based the warriors, and we sort of putting the armour of God on. And we were speaking to them there, and I was thinking, right, how am I going to relate this to them without blowing their mind a little bit, because these are guys from the community? And we was talking about just a little situation, and they were talking about like bullies and stuff. And then I just sort of talked about like the, you know, like the helmet, you know, like how it protects your mind, you know, and it's what goes into your mind. And I thought, you know, I haven't got to go mad. And this is why the great thing of the Bible, you haven't got to go too deep sometimes to tell someone about the Bible. You know, like I was just saying to him, like, okay, so if someone was saying, you know, all these nasty things or whatever they're doing, it gets in your mind. Okay, and you can, I said, you know, what does a helmet do? A helmet protects your mind anyway. So it hasn't got to be, I haven't got to go biblical or anything, you know, and it's just trying to sort of use the things that we're taught and what the Bible says in little pieces, you know, to get people. And like I said, so, you know, I encourage you when you do go, you know, and I'm sure most of you do and stuff, but, you know, it's being a little bit more open about your faith, be more bold. And do you know, sometimes, if you are anyway, it's maybe approach a different situation. You know, approach somewhere where you may not have been there before and just think, you know, I'm going to step into this situation. Even if it's some things like, you know, I don't want to be around them because they're not godly people and stuff. We're never going to reach them if we're not stepping into that situation. You know, if I can't go into, you know, a community in Dufferin and bring these boys who's going to cause me trouble all night in youth, it's not worth me doing what I'm doing. It's great to invest in these guys, of course it is, but we want to build as well. You know, and, you know, so I'm stepping into these situations and I'm just going to try and keep building these guys up as best I can, you know, but that's the same as us. You know, I've had to learn from just you young guys, you know, how I conduct myself. You know, I'm on Facebook and stuff you know, I want to make sure whatever I'm doing on Facebook and stuff is not going to go back to them and stuff. But just really encourage you to sort of be bold in your faith. You know, just step into situations, you may have had struggles in the past, or, you know, and step back into them situations and just show grace. You know, if we can go back into them and underline some problems that we may have been, if you've had situations with someone from church or you've had situations from someone outside, put yourself back in that situation and get that right. Because when that's right, and like I said, your family's right, you know, there's no ending, because God would do amazing things. You know, I'm going to read this, you know, the armor of God, because this is, you know, when I read it on camp, you know, and when we learned about the, you know, like battles and stuff, it was just so encouraging to read it. And you know, I sort of read the Bible, and not, you know, like I said, I'm not the best reader of such, so I'm really stepping out now to read this verse to you. But you know what? You read some scriptures and you can always just bypass them. But when you really go deep into some things, and I've learned now to try and sometimes concentrate on certain things, man, it opens you up. And I'm going to read this, and I think it's Ephesians. I did have another verse, but I'll go to Ephesians. All right, I'll show you this one first. This is another one I show the armor of God. But this is the one we use at youth a lot. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer. Petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Okay, and that's what we share with the youth a lot, and we try and get them to sort of memorize that verse, because with exams and stuff, you know, that's things. But take that into your own workplace as well, because they're the things that's going to make you anxious. You know, if you've got a bad situation going on in work, go into that situation. Do not be anxious. Put it to God. You know, we talk a lot about it today. Put it to God. You know, you haven't got to worry about anything. You know, if you believe in Jesus, Jesus already got your back. He's already covered you. But this is the one I want to read, is the armor of God, because this is what sort of summarized the whole youth, you know, from bringing these young guys there, you know, with an open mind. And man, they are so open when they come on camp, which is unbelievable, because it means you can just so into them, and everything in the situation is taken away from them, and they're on their own, with their friends stuff. But the armor of God, and I love this verse, so I'm going to read it out. I think it says, finally be strong in the Lord. He is mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take stand against the devil's schemes. Man, that's amazing, just the first little part. And if you read that and you read that over again, you can just keep going back to it because that's just amazing. And it carries on. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put the full armor of God on, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm. Then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you extinguish the flames of arrows from the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit is the word of God. Man, just reading that on his own. Do you know what I mean? There is so much power just in that, and when I shared it with the kids, I went away and I was thinking, man, I probably got to use a little bit of that more. I want to be equipped a bit more with the Bible. I want to be equipped so when battles face, I'm equipped with the gospel, because that's the main part. If we're not equipped, sometimes we're going to get challenges, and man, if we're equipped with it, it's amazing. But I walked away from that camp, and straight after camp, I was going to sort of fit a kitchen in Spain. Yeah. But you know what? I went away, and as I said, you've just had a great camp, and I went to Spain to fit a kitchen. And do you know what? If I could have faced any more battles on that week away in Spain, man, I don't know what I would have done. And do you know, I was over there, and I was up against battles with like kitchen designers and stuff, and obviously English, Spanish, the language barrier doesn't really go together. But you know, I faced battles in them supplying me the wrong stuff. I'm arguing the fact that they give me the wrong bits. And do you know, the one day, and this is so, like for me, I needed some screws, right? And especially you might think Newport's easy to get some screws. On a Sunday in Spain just recently, they have literally shut every building. So there's no place. And I'm like, I got me and myself, my electrician there, and I'm like, what am I going to do? But you know, and I was driving a car, and I went everywhere. I was probably driving for about an hour, just driving different places, but they've literally shut everything. And do you know what God gave me a mate? He said, go to the church. I was like, so I'm driving past, and Pauline goes to, Torrevieja Church, which is a Christian centre, and I was like, man, I'm just going to do, just coming out, just finished service myself, I'm just going to go in there and just ask if I can get some screws, which is like a bizarre thing to go to a church. But you know what? I went in there, and I went to the welcome desk, and it was like, I said, oh yeah, because I'm in my scruffy clothes and stuff, and maybe, if people look like tattoos, sometimes it can look a bit thing and stuff. And I just turned up there, and I was like, I don't know if you're going to help me, but I'm after some screws. And she's looked at me as if to think, what? But you know what? As I said that, she said, wait a minute. Honestly, within about 5 minutes, I probably had about 6 or 7 guys around me saying, what do you want? What do you want? And they were willing to go back to their places to go and get whatever I needed to do the job. But let me encourage you, that's what a church is about. We're family. It doesn't matter if you're here or you're in a different church, or if you've got other people friends from different churches. Man, we're all here to help each other out. And I went there just for something so small. And like I said, God's going to give you whatever you want. But I went there, and there was like so many people. I managed to get the screws and stuff. But the biggest thing for me is, do you know what I mean? If whenever you're in need, or whenever you're sort of going through any battles and facing, there's going to be someone in church who's going to be there, who's going to listen, who's going to help you, who's going to talk to you, encourage you, build you up. And that's what a church is about. We're a family, and like I said, everyone's going to go through different situations. That's why it's amazing why, we're all coming from different backgrounds, because we're all knowledgeable in different ways, and we can help other people out. Just because, you might have been in church all your life, don't say that you can't help someone out who's maybe taking drugs, because you're going to be helping them in a different way to someone who may have taken drugs to help that person out. So try and use, your backgrounds to help other people. And like I said, man, a church, like I said, that was my hospital. Because I went there, I was in need. And, it's only need for screws. But at the end of the day, I had like 5 days to do this job. And if I missed a day, I might not have got it finished. But you know what? Just went to church, asked them. And you know what? A church provides 100%, So just be encouraged by that. I'm going to come, Pastor Dave's going to come up now. But honestly, thank you very much.